Have you ever stopped to consider how much power words have over our lives? Let me give you an example. If someone has ever said something to you that was so hurtful, so painful, something that cut so deep that it literally felt like they were breaking your heart. And you know that when you have been hurt, it changes your entire outlook. You feel it in your bones, you feel it in your stomach. Some of us have been so heartbroken in our lives that we go days without an appetite because words have power over us. But it's not just the negative words. The other side of the coin is also true when someone has said something positive about you. Think of a time when you've gotten a compliment or someone affirmed something that you did, or someone noticed something that you did and they said, man, you did a really good job here, or you did this great act of service, or you are really good at this. When somebody gives you words of love, an affirmation, a compliment, makes us stand up a little bit straighter, makes us put our shoulders back a little bit more, makes us smile, not just a smile on the outside, but a soul smile on the inside. Because words, they're powerful. Now, as powerful as the words are that other people say about us, I think that the most powerful words that we say are actually the words that you say about yourself. Stop to think about the last time you said the word, I am so, and then fill in the blank. You're looking in the mirror and maybe you see a little more gray hair than you did the previous year. Maybe you're not as tall as you want to be. Maybe you're not as attractive as you think you should be. Maybe there's a few extra pounds this year than there was the previous year. And sometimes we have this tendency to look in the mirror and say, I'm so old. I am so gray. I am not as attractive as I used to be. But it's not just how we look. Sometimes we say these statements like, I'm so dumb. I am so dumb for doing this. I am never going to be able to accomplish the thing that I want to. I am never going to get that promotion. The words that we say about ourselves, the words that you say about your life circumstance in your life, they have a power to shape how you see the world. They may not control external things, but the words that you say begin to control how you see the things around you. Words are more powerful than we realize. And I still remember growing up in a neighborhood where I was supposed to be a statistic. I would either end up in jail or end up dead. I grew up in a place where you didn't hear success stories of people becoming doctors or lawyers or leaders in the community. That's just not the world that I lived in. And so I still remember one day being in 8th grade. I was in a math class. I was sitting in a pod of students. And it was one of those days where the kids that I was sitting with were a little bit louder than I was comfortable with. I tried to be a good kid in my life. I just tried to keep my head down, do my homework. I was afraid of my parents. I was afraid of getting in trouble. And I remember on this one particular day, the teacher, I still remember Miss Cass, she said, David, I want to see you outside. And I said, oh, that's it. I'm in trouble. She called me outside. She looked me straight in the eyes. And she said, you are not like everyone else. You are a leader. And I envision for your life that you will be a leader of men. And you got to remember, I was 13 years old. I was in 8th grade. No one had ever said anything like that to me. I had said all of these negative things about my life. I had said all of these negative things about my life circumstance and about how my future would be bleak. I had already begun to believe that things were not going to get better. And then this lady, in a southern accent, which at the time I thought she was from Europe, but it turns out she was just from the South, from Tennessee. She said, you're going to be a leader of men. In that moment, she changed my life. She said, I see you going into high school and you're going to be class president and you're going to be a leader. And in that moment, she began to give me an imagination for what my life could look like. In that moment, I believe God used her and the power of her words over a 13-year-old to help me to believe and see a bigger and broader world. The very next year, I was class vice president. I didn't run for president, but I was still in leadership. And from that day forward, for the next 25 years of my life, I have been in a position of leadership. All because there was someone who was willing to help me to believe, to give me language, to give me words. That listen, what you're looking at, the world you see can be much bigger if you change the way you speak about yourself. It got me thinking of a passage in Scripture in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 24. The Bible tells us, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. What are the words that you are saying about yourself? What are the words that you are saying about your life circumstance? What are the words that you're using towards your children, towards your wife, towards your husband, towards your coworkers? What are the words that you are using? But more important than any of those, may the words that you speak about yourself be kind, so that they can be like honey, sweet to your soul. And I have a sense that the kinder you are with yourself, the more compassionate and gracious you are towards yourself, you might begin to see the world a little bit differently. When you've had a friend come to you and they're beating themselves up, they are upset because they maybe failed in something, they did something that they wish they hadn't done, they regret the thing that they did, oftentimes we will be very gracious and compassionate towards our friends. But when we make the same mistake, we are very harsh with our judgment. But what would your life look like if you followed what Proverbs 16 says, and if you used kind words toward yourself? Imagine how your inner life would change. Imagine how your perspective would begin to change as well. So I want to encourage you. I want to invite you to use kind words towards yourself, and then see how you might begin to see the world in a better light. God bless you.